Welcome, one and all, to Enlightened Conversations, where this season we're going just that little bit deeper and not skimming on the judgy surface of life. I will also be sharing conversations with my guides, and you can be guaranteed that all the topics that come through are authentic, life-changing and enlightened, because we want you to live a more joyful, peaceful and loving vibration. Let's go. Hi everyone, it's Michelle Lightworker here, and welcome to Enlightened Conversations, where I am here with my wonderful friend Annie Keatley, and we are going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into everything that's like 3D, 4D, 5D and beyond, and talking about how it all mishes and mashes together, sometimes mashes us up and sometimes spits us out. But we're going to go through how we can kind of avoid that and go through the flow of it a little bit easier and gentler for you all. And just for those of you who don't know Annie, she's wonderful. I've worked with her on Psychic TV. We've had numerous conversations across the years on Enlightened Conversations, and just been a really great soul buddy from, soul sister across the world as we've journeyed our journeys on different pathways at times as well. And at the moment, the wonderful Annie is working as an integrative life coach. She's helping clients unlock their life path with insights that lead to detoxification, identifying the root cause, facilitating healing, rewiring their mindset to achieve a successful life, enabling them to reach their goals and lead balanced personal and professional lives, which is amazing. And we all love that, don't we? We want to reach our biggest potential and fulfill our purpose. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you. I go by the name Sathya or Sathiavanni when I'm working, because that's my Indian name. That's my birth name, my good name. Annie was kind of thrown in along the way.
Yep.
But when I'm working, it's Sathya or Sathiavanni. But yep, Annie that's still me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's deep dive. I know you and I have spoken about this many times, and it's always been the right timing to get this right. And I suppose with me now being in Melbourne, and the energy in Melbourne's always been very high. It's very, very high frequency vibration, and it fits perfectly for me because that's like swimming in the ocean for me, fish to water. And everything had to be perfect timing to speak to you, to get this message out. We as a collective, but not only planet Earth, but the universe collectively is now elevated even further to a higher vibrational fifth beyond. Okay. So, and I'm being given so much information that I've been wanting to pass on, or when I've been told it's time to pass on. But sometimes there have been times where it's been halted because there's more information to be brought in. So collectively, the universe itself has shifted. It's rebirthing itself in terms of the divine realm, the angelic realm, the Acturian realms, the extraterrestrial realms. So life Shakti, which is life force, is going through a rebirth. So everything is being rebuilt, but on a higher frequency. So in that, the earth, if you want to look at it from the basic point of view, the earth being an organic matter, okay, has now transformed into crystalline. Okay, so it's transmutated and it's transformed. Okay, like for example, when I'm going for a walk, if I see a tree, I don't just see a tree, I see its true source, its true signature. Okay, whether it's light or whether it's an equation of whatever it is. It's very hard to explain, but it's not what it is. Like you may see that this lip balm as a lip balm, but in actual fact, has a DNA signature of its own.
Yeah.
okay, in a different format. So same happens with us human beings as well. Okay, so there's quite a lot of us in terms of humanity that have shifted, who have ascended on this earthly plane from all the inner work that has been done, from all the standard, karmic clearing and ancestral clearing and all that sort of stuff. But it's also about people getting onto their divine true path as their truth, as the light that they are, as the source that they are, that's connected. So the earth is in that higher than fifth dimensional frequency of crystalline light. Okay, and every organic matter has elevated. However, there is a massive percentage that is still hasn't transformed yet into that higher vibration. It's still there. So in the 3D, 4D. But as that is crumbled, 4D is just it's the destruction. It's the destructive path. Then you have your 3D, which is very 2D, 3D, which is very, it's like that set in stone of get born, go to school, go to university, get the degree, find the person, get married, get a job, get a mortgage. It's that, okay? That's a 3D way of looking at life or growth. But that is not the case, okay? So what is happening here is that a lot that have shifted on a higher consciousness are now walking from a soul level rather than the human physical level. So with that, there is so much in that 4D that they have to step in order to go up to the fifth that is crumbling. But in that vortex is where people are going, what is happening to me? Why am I not happy with what I have in my life? Why isn't this relationship working? Why isn't, like, you're just not feeling your sense of self? And in terms of mental health is skyrocketing because it's very much the soul speaking to the physical, saying, oi, you're on the wrong path. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not being who you truly are meant to be. Okay?
Yep.
So in that destructive place is where most are trying to find that spiritual awakening. And spiritual awakening doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and sit on the mountaintop chanting. It's not about that. It's about going in and finding that center and really going inward. And in that process, there are so many who, and this was going to be really challenging for me to say, because I said to Mummy, Mother Goddess, I said, how am I going to verbalize this? How am I going to say this? Because it's going to be taken the wrong way. Because we do live in a society now that we have to be careful with what we say. We have to be careful with what information we share. And she just said, just say it how I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm like, okay. What is happening here is that in order to walk the truth and be in the true light, so those who are in the transition phase from 3 to 4 to get to the fifth. Now, it's not so much that the fifth dimension is some high mansion. It's a state of being.
Embodied.
Okay? So you
It's the
can still
embodiment.
be, exactly. You can still be in your corporate gig and still live in your mansion, still, still do what you love, but it's on a higher consciousness frequency in the state of being that you are at.
It's true, because that
In
fourth
that state,
dimension is like chaos. It's like a like you said, it's like, there's something not quite right, but you kind of can't put your finger on it, but your body's telling you you're not quite there yet, and it's throwing up these symptoms, like
Mhm.
anxiety and,
Yeah.
could be throwing up lots of different things to you. And
Yeah.
you're, some people try and do the whole spiritual bypassing thing to get to that feeling of 5D. I'm love and light, and it doesn't work because they're just like suppressing whatever's in that chaos that needs to be healed, like those imprints and those abuse and
Mhm.
traumas and those all those things that they want to kind of put a lid on, maybe through addiction or whatever, avoidance. And then it's like they might want to try, like, good example where it becomes even more chaotic is when people are doing a bit of the drug taking to increase their spiritual awareness when they
Yeah.
haven't healed that stuff, and they think that's sort of, I
Yeah.
guess, helping them get to that extra
It's
step,
about,
but it's
yeah.
can be a bit destructive in relation. They can collapse. You know what you're saying about the collapse? There's no foundation for them to
Mm.
hold up that energy of what's coming in spiritually. They don't have it. They don't have that frequency yet.
And this is what's concerning Mummy, in that, and she wanted me to speak with you about this as well because we've been there. We understand the process because we've had to go through a big process. Um, is everything that is taking place on so many different levels is because the universe, the earth is rebirthing itself. For every timeline, for everything serves a purpose. Timelines are being merged, timelines are being vanquished, and new ones being built, depending on where everything is. Now, we all operate by divine order and divine plan and divine timing. Okay, everything has already been written. We have a small percentage where we can co-create with them. And if you want to use the word manifestation, go right ahead.
Yeah.
That's that small gap. They give you a little bit of leeway. Because what has been happening is in that process of trying to get to that, there are many who are bypassing,
Mm.
and there are many who are also, to to no fault of their own. It's just trying to find their way is one where to go through that awakening. So, for example, if they want to go through a Kundalini awakening, it is not something that you do in 2 days. It is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, and you have to be ready for it. And unless it is the divine who are working on you and is your path, and you have a very strong connection to source, and you are doing those, what we call sadhanas, those practices, those meditation, those strict fastings to prepare your body, because you have to be in the right vibration, and in your body as the vessel has to be pristinely clean. Kundalini is the activation of your spiritual connection to source and to Mother Earth. Okay, it is the energetic light that is with, I was going to use the word serpent, my mum is correcting me, is the energetic light that connects you to source, where you are in alignment, mind, body, and soul. So Kundalini it's open to interpretation. So there are some who are trying to do all of that when their body is not ready for it, or their mindset is not ready for it. Because Kundalini awakening is a very, very, very powerful process that you have to be ready for it, but you also have to have someone who is an ascended master on this earth training you, guiding you through it. You can't do it on your own. And there are some who are going through it, and it's causing more detriment to them rather than betterment
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm. And you have
So
to
that
respect the
is,
process of it, because it's like this very yang energy, if you like, and it's like, unless you have that sort of etheric field, or the yin, like the cup to hold the hot water, so to speak, if you don't have
yes.
the etheric you can burn out and you can go bipolar, because that yang energy that's shooting up is extremely manic, can be very manic when it's spinning, you spin. And I think, yes, that can create the opposite end of the spectrum. When people don't know how to balance out their kundalini, they can get really quite burnt out, depleted from exhaustion, obviously, and then also manic, because they can't ground the force.
Yeah. The other part of it also is that when those esoteric practices or awakenings, it's also meant to happen if it's part of your life journey, if it's part of your life design, your soul design.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And when we have that judgment on other people that they should be there, I think that clogs up our internal energy.
So
we're projecting what we think everybody should be doing when it's actually not true. That the life design may be quite narcissistic in one way, because it's our life design, but it's part of a bigger design.
Yeah,
you said
exactly.
Like, bigger things are happening, and we have a small part. Yeah, we have free will and we have choices, but there's this other collective whole that we've got to remember we're feeding in.
Yeah. Yes.
Feeding our energy, which is what we're responsible for, which is if we're passing judgment on those people, we're feeding in toxic stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that it's, there's no right or wrong, but it's about understanding your intention and why. If it is part of divine plan that you are going to go through this as part of your purpose on this new earth, on this journey, okay, whatever your purpose is meant to be, which you will identify, then the divine or your guides, the universe, will instigate that, will put you in places and situations for you to have that awakening or commence the process of having that awakening, and the right guide to support and help you through that process. Because many are doing it without the full comprehension, but it's bringing more harm to themselves. So I guess the loud message that Mummy wants to give, and when I say Mummy to your audience, is Divine Mother Goddess Durga, Kali Durga, who is my guide, my compass, my light. She is my teacher, my guru. She's in the driver's seat. I do as she tells. When it comes to my work, what I'm here for, my calling and my purpose. But I'm also a human being who's also learning as I'm going along and finding out my path as well, because I don't know everything, so I have to work through. But when I'm in work mode, it's different. I get given what I get given in order to, and how to incorporate as well. So it's about being very, very careful. Like for me, Michelle, I see your body as already 85% crystalline. Okay, I don't see the organic. Mummy just said 85%. So you've got a little bit more to go to poof. Okay, so perhaps this is a message to give to you. So when I look at your body, I see your crystalline body. Okay, and that's a lot of hard work you've put in to get to that point because of, and my phone is just beeping light just then. So she's saying yes. So it's very much where you're headed next in what you are meant to do for humanity. Okay, so Mummy's saying you've been doing bits and pieces here and there, but a lot of the time is where you've taken time out is not been because you don't know what you're doing. They're just like, no, we got to prepare her body, because this is a vessel. The vessel has to be ready in order to take on the workload and in order to take the vibrational information in. So even your DNA has changed. Your internal organs, anatomy, everything is all crystalline now. Okay, so you will find that if you eat certain types of food, it just doesn't agree with you anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about making sure your body is that pristine, clean. It's not to say, you can't have, you know, can of Coke or something like that. It's not like, oh, you've done bad. It's not about that. It's about how you see this physical body, and what you're putting in as well. So 85%. So as you're saying before, to get to that point where they may, in terms of plant medicines and so forth, where when you go through that process, yeah, you see all of that. Okay, because it opens up a portal for you because you're in that vibration, or it's being instigated to see that. But when you also do work on a different level where you don't take any of that, it's very much that meditation, the mantra, the discipline, and the work that you do, it opens, activates.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
For me,
I'll just share with you just a little bit of my own personal stuff that people might relate to. As I was in recovery, because I'm 55 now, but as I was in recovery from my eating disorder, like from anorexia, and overeating, as I was going on my journey, now I look back and go, oh, I know why I'd have a relapse. And it would be I'd be overeating because I couldn't handle my body could not handle the what I was unearthing in terms of my own past traumas, all those kind of things. And I had to focus more on nurturing myself in between. So it's okay, like anybody listening out there who thinks I should be further along or whatever. But if you're struggling, if you're slipping and sliding, like with your addiction or whatever, then you just need more nurturing and more resourcing from your guides in ways that aren't pushing you and aren't stretching you too quickly, because it does take time. It does, Annie. It's just a compassionate, heart-centered space for ourselves that I think a lot of people need to kind of realize we need as much of that as we need to be truth-seeking.
Yeah, I feel, and that's the hard part. Like, even with my clients, I always say to them, just be gentle with their processes and be really kind to themselves, because, when you embark or investing in yourself and doing the inner work, because you want to create that balanced life for yourself that is spiritually balanced as well. And again, spiritual doesn't mean you have to go to the temple or you have to sit and meditate, whatever, but it's about coming home to yourself, your truth, you, and being in that place of pure centeredness and calmness and serenity. And you're walking your life purpose. You are living your truth.
Yeah.
Okay. And, for some, their life purpose is to bring certain lights into this world, being a mum and being the nurturer, being the carer, being the teacher, being the guide in bringing these two human beings into this world who are here for a bigger purpose. And that was your calling to do so. Okay. So it's everyone serves a purpose in their own way. Like for me, I wanted to be a mum, but universe had other, the divine had other plans. But what did I do? I sort of transmutated it and pushed it even further and going, oh, okay, I'm going to give all of this in what I love, in helping people heal and transform and empower themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's about how do you change that? And that comes down to the next thing that Mummy wants to talk about is in the fifth dimensional vibration that you're shifting into is where, that window we talked about manifestation, where we can manifest. But we have to be careful that we're not manifesting what is not the truth. Not manifesting what is not for the highest good. Because with where everything is at with the divine plan, 5D and beyond, is about everyone operating on a soul level. Okay, this is just physical material. Okay, so it's operating on a soul level. So it's about coming into alignment with the divine plan, so that when you're in alignment with all the inner work you're doing, what you're manifesting is the divine plan.
Yeah.
Not the opposite.
Yeah. You're not fighting what is in your highest good, and what is in your highest good is in everybody's highest good.
Correct.
That's the reality. It's not selfish to actually be operating in our highest good, but it's a challenge. Sometimes, you know,
it is.
You were going to say that you were concerned about.
Yeah, I was concerned about how to pass all this on, because, you know, there's just so much in social media these days, and there's just so much people, you know, the world is being shifted and shaken in such a way that people they're craving answers. They're craving information as to what is happening with them. Why aren't things working out? I thought this was going to be the good thing for me, but why isn't this working out? You know, and a lot of it has also been, you know, manifesting from a space where, you know, lack of knowledge or ego or comparing or whatever the case may be is causing more mental health challenges. So this is the other thing too. So to make sure that in order to have the life that you want, and in order to feel fulfilled, we have to go through those healing processes to come into alignment to the divine plans. So because you want to get married and have a family, that doesn't mean you're not manifesting what you want, but you may be going about it in the wrong way or in the wrong path. Okay. So it's a bit like if you were driving, you know, you're the person you're meant to be with is actually in, you know, 2 streets away, but you decided, no, I'm going to just stop, you know, at this street and I'll just pick this one, you know, suits me just fine for now, but that's not the one. The one is 2 streets away, if that makes sense.
Totally. I mean, it's like, you know, wanting to get to, I don't know, Disneyland, but you're in a horse and carriage and you've got all these people in the street and you're just trampling all over them because you think that's where you're meant to be. Like, it's not.
Yeah. It's not.
Get there and it's there and it's achievable and you can get there, but it's like what are you causing along the way, and what are you missing out on? Because there might be a super highway that you miss all those people, but you've not kind of plugged into the electric car that can fly or whatever it is, just metaphorically speaking here. But yes, that's exactly right. People are getting kind of hooked on like manifestation and not really realizing you do need to be in alignment before you're going to manifest things in a way that's for your highest good, and to take a pause for a little bit. I wanted to share with everybody just a little bit of background on the 3D versus 5D, and a quick analogy is 3D, you're in the movie reacting to everything. This is from a personal point of view, not just necessarily like the physical, but like you're in the movie and you're reacting to everything. And then 4D is you're watching the movie, starting to question the script, and thinking, what the hell is going on? You know, what's happening? And then in 5D, you remember you're the one who wrote the script and you can change it with love. That's kind of like a little quick analogy. There's more analogies. Do you want me to give you some more?
Go for it.
Okay, so you've got 3D, the world feels heavy, separate and survival driven. 4D, we awaken, we question, we heal, hopefully, and we search for deeper meaning. And in 5D, we begin to live from unity, love, and expanded awareness. And that word embodiment keeps coming up, not like we're just thinking it, oh, I should be living this way. I want to be more loving. It's more like we are. We're just starting to feel that that's a natural way of being in our everyday world. Well, there is a few more. So let me just get myself another little bit here. So third dimension is also called separation consciousness. So the focus is usually survival, duality, ego, logic, material success, like you were talking about. The experience we have is life feels solid, linear, externally driven. Things are seen as separate, me versus you, good versus bad, right versus wrong. Our emotions usually are coming from a place of fear, scarcity, control, and competition often dominate, which is interesting in terms of our chakras. Like if anybody listening knows about chakras, you've got your base chakras, a lot about that sort of, security and scarcity mentality when you don't feel you have enough, if you've got wounds there. And then you've got your solar plexus, which is very much around power and control. And so you're really wobbly in all of that. And your awareness and identity is based on roles, labels, and physical appearances. And basically the quote is, I am what I do, own, or achieve. And then your 4D, fourth dimension consciousness is awakening and what you were calling it transition consciousness. And then you've got focus on your healing, hopefully, awakening, questioning reality, exploring energy and emotions, hopefully not with an overdose of too much drugs. You've got more like spiritual guidance and support. The experience, time becomes more fluid. You begin to notice synchronicities, energetic patterns, and the deeper why behind things. So if you're doing it the right way, it can be quite exciting. Hey, Annie, like when you're like unfolding in that area of fourth dimension stuff. And then your emotions, there's often inner conflict, the shedding of the old and a yearning for the new. Often we've got our inner child versus our higher self, and, all the bits that we've disowned are all kind of wanting to get on board and pick me. And it can be a bit confusing and muddled, but hopefully we've got enough, slowing down that we can listen to them all and take care of ourselves. And the awareness is you begin observing your thoughts and emotions rather than being ruled by them, and then spiritual curiosity deepens. And the saying that we have there is, I am more than this body, and there's something beyond what I've been taught. And then fifth dimension or unity consciousness and heart-centered living. Your focus is on love, oneness, co-creation, presence, intuition, soul truth. I think you and I have talked about it a lot here, our soul purpose, being in alignment with our purpose. Our experience is reality feels lighter, more expansive, and guided from within. Separation dissolves. We're all part of one field of consciousness. So therefore, and what we were talking about before about highest good for me is highest good for all, and focusing on that is really important. Emotions are peace, compassion, trust, joy. They become our home frequency. Our awareness is we live from our heart. We're attuned to our high self and divine intelligence, and duality is transcended. And the sort of saying is, I am a soul having a human experience, and we are all connected. So that's just a little bit of, if anybody had any kind of questions around, I guess, the intricacies of what we're talking about, that hopefully explains that as well, because that can be quite helpful just to have an overview.
I mean, like, even for me, what we're talking about now, if someone explained this to me, say, 10 years ago or, 20 years ago, oh, what are you talking about? Right. You don't. So, we've all had to go through this process of understanding, but it's also in the higher dimensional, in the fifth dimensional vibration frequency that we live in, or when you go through the transition from within and outer, is where it's coming from a space of pure centeredness, where you see everything and everyone equally.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and you see it all from the space of humanity and as a human being. Okay. So even those who may or try to harm you in any way, shape, or form, or might be negative towards you, whatever the case may be, you're still able to, without reacting, see them with such love and compassion, and it doesn't affect you. So that's the key to get to that point of, I understand, it's okay. It's not affecting. Why? Because there's been so much that's been burnt out, that you've been rebuilt in that crystalline body, that you see everything like that humming noise, the humming rhythm. It's like everything's just cool, you know? So getting to that point without having to have spliffs or anything, you know, it's getting to that space. But even that can be a little bit intoxicating. So it's about ground yourself.
Yes.
And it is important to understand why you're doing something as well. Okay. So getting to that place of just that non-judgment, but even that word non-judgment doesn't seep into your psyche. It's like, you know, I'm just very non-judgmental. You don't even have to say that to yourself. You're just in that state of being.
Yep.
So that's what the divine are facilitating, that the humanity collectively to shift and transform. So there are many who have taken the escalator, and there are many who are taking the travelator, and there are many who are on the travelator that want to jump on the escalator. It's like, okay. And it's that travelator and escalator, it's just like trying to topple one another to get to that top. That's the destructive part, that where people are, you know, unfortunately, again, when it's about making sure that when you want to achieve something in life, or when you want to become whole and complete within yourself, and I guess the biggest message I can give is, you know, when you go to sleep over nighttime or when you wake up in the morning, is just ask, show me the right way to live the life that I am meant to live and be filled with all that I am meant to be filled with in my life. And when you do it with the purest of intent, the divine, the angels, your guides, universe will show you. The right people will be brought in, and the not so right people for your journey will be removed, so that you take the correct steps going forward and allow your growth as well. Because not everyone does things with the right intentions, because there are many still operating in that 3D greed level as well. So it's really, really important to make sure that you keep yourself protected, and you know what you're co-creating and manifesting. Is this for my highest good? Yeah. It's like, if I want to do something, I'll go, Mommy, am I allowed to do this? She'll go, nope. Am I allowed to do this? Yes. Okay. Why can't I do that? Because I said so. I'm like, okay. But she'll explain to me, or I will get told why. And again, this is about having a connection with source, your guides, your and even your ancestors who are in spirit, who are your guardian angels, because they know what's going on.
Yeah.
And you know, so it's important to understand that there's, again, the word destruction is what that I can give, in that so much within ourselves is being destroyed, within so much in this earthly existence is being destroyed. So if you look at the natural disasters that have been transpiring globally, is not happening by chance, because Mother Earth is rebirthing itself. But in doing so, it is trying to wake humanity up to say, oi, what are you doing? to me and to yourselves.
Yeah.
So it's going on a higher consciousness, and even relationships, partnerships, where situations are taking place for couples to shift to a higher consciousness connection, where it is heart-centered, but it is coming from that utopian balance-centered union. Okay. And I know there's people talk about twin flames and soulmates and so forth, which Mummy has never ever trained me in that way. She's never shown it to me in that way, because a connection is a connection. And as you go through your evolution, it's about you understanding what a connection with an individual is all about. Okay. As soon as you put a label on it, you're restricting that soul's journey and that connection and that path of what that union is, or even your path as well. So it's just so on this higher vibrational world universe that we're living in now, and many are trying to make their way to, is to make sure that it's not what is happening to you, it's what's happening for you.
Yeah, that's
because everything is interconnected, and to ensure that what you're manifesting is in alignment with your soul's path. Because even if you're trying to manifest something, it's like, oh, why isn't this working? It's because it's not for you. It's not part of your soul's path. It's not to say you're not going to have that financial wealth or security or that job or that true love. But, you know, as we say, if you want to go to Disneyland, you know, don't do it. Like, for example, you know, my path, one
Sorry,
morning I woke up.
It's a terrible image back in my brain about being in a horse and cart and, you know, just like just galloping along and just, you know, trampling everybody over. And I mean, I'm sure I've been a bulldozer like that in my life for sure, because I've been a very strong-willed person, like in times of my life, and it's been like directed in that way. And I apologize to myself for being, you know, thinking I had to do that, and also have a lot of, you know, compassion and forgiveness for, you know, and sorry and apology to anybody that I trampled on, knowing that those people have their own journeys doesn't mean that I'm not, you know, going to take complete responsibility for my own bulldozing either. That's important. And I was actually speaking about this on my previous episode, and I was talking about politics and the political arena, and how, as just as a quick snapshot, as how our childhood traumas, like in infancy, toddler, independence and interdependence, are interrupted or not met or whatever, they feed our inability or ability to be that bonded person that can set boundaries but have the sense of independence and also interdependence and work as a team. And how those 4 stages of childhood really feed into that, and how, as when we reach that third level of sovereignty, of independence, we can own our reality and we can own our mistakes, and we don't feel shame. We feel a healthy sense of shame. Oh my God, what did I do? Or whatever. We don't beat up on ourselves, and we don't deflect and blame other people. But if we haven't met that, then of course we can't own our, you know, horse buggies trampling people. We have to blame some other, you know, reason for it. So yeah.
And this is something I always encourage, you know, the clients and people that I'm here to help and heal and guide, is that gentleness comes down to everything is done without blame, because everyone has served a purpose. And as I always say every morning when I do my mantras, is like, thank you for the good, the bad, and the ugly, for helping me become who I deserve to be for myself, because the good and the bad and the ugly had to happen. It was part of the divine process. So, like, the whole key is about understanding yourself. This is not about understanding
Yep.
your relationship with your parents or your sibling or your partner or your colleague or your friend, or it's got nothing to do with that. This is about in the individual who's on his soul's journey. And I know everyone's talked about, I'm a soul having a human experience. It's not so much about that. Mummy just wants to add. This is about the soul having multitude of experiences. For we have, sentient beings, we have flora, fauna, they are all have a soul. Okay. So even vegetables, there's energy in it. There is soul life in it. So everything is energy, as we know. Okay. So even like when I'm having my dinner, it's like, thank you for this meal that I'm about to have, that it nourishes my body and it serves its purpose for what it is. Thank you for this meal. Okay. So it's like giving gratitude because it came from Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So, and it's something that I learnt as I've gone along working with Mother Goddess, and the divine in general, whoever wants to come in and give me lessons. And it's really about finding out who you are. Who are you, Michelle? Okay. But it's not about vocalizing, I am. It's about you having that humbled, grounded, this is me, and this is what I'm going to quietly achieve in life, or what I'm here for.
And it
Okay.
evolves. Like at the moment, I'm learning French.
Evolve.
I've only just decided
Yeah.
the last 3 weeks, but I'm loving it. And I don't know
Yeah.
what the higher purpose of it is, but I do know it gives me a lot of joy. And I'm sure it's doing something that I'm not aware of yet because I felt like drawn to it. And sure, I mean, I know that they say, oh, yeah, and it's great for your brain and da, 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 da. So that could be interesting. I mean, maybe it's helping my brain to stay active and who knows. But sometimes it's not about knowing why, and it's just about trusting I'm being led here and it feels right, and yay, enjoy it. And that keeps changing over time. Like, and being
Trusting the
excited
process.
about that.
Yeah.
Like, excited about the journey. I mean, I think we're always evolving, and I think that's exciting. You know yourself, but then like you said, you're still learning who you are, and all these different parts of you open up, and that's exciting. It doesn't have to be. I guess sometimes people think, oh, you're just in this peace all the time. Yeah, but you're in the peace, and you've got all this joy and fun, and everything's exciting. And I am like a little kid a lot of the time because of that. I don't feel like I'm stagnant, growing older. I think that's something to look forward to for everybody. As we age, you don't have to fall into just being, I don't know, boring and grumpy and I don't know, tired. I'm not tired at all, hardly ever. So, it's one of those things. I sleep well, but I'm just not tired during the day. I'm all active and happy and buoyant.
Yeah.
The buoyancy.
Yeah.
And that's nice, and that's hope, and I think that's encouragement for people, because who wants to kind of grow old and feel old? I don't. I want to grow old and feel young. I don't have to look young the whole time. That's fine. Wrinkles are fine. But yeah, just feeling that heart, that wonder, I guess, that sense of wonder as a kid. Just that sense of wonder alive, and that's really cool. I love that about life. That I have that.
But again, it's Mummy is just saying there is no age.
Yeah.
The light, there's no age, it's just human beings. It's the same as there's no time frames, because it's us who've got the Gregorian calendar, and we've got the time frame, because everything is energy and everything is vibration and everything can shift. So as Mummy always says to me, things can shift with a blink of an eye, and it all depends on your perspective on something. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were meant to go to the shops and it decides to bucket down rain because, you were going to go to the shop to go and get eggs to make the cake, it's not that bad. It has had to happen that way. So it's about having that perspective, go, you know what, it's okay, it's not meant to happen today. I'm obviously avoiding something, as opposed to, oh, the universe is being cruel to me, or I didn't get that job. No, it's not about that. It's about, like when I came back to working again after having a bit of a hiatus with health stuff. I think I applied for about 100 corporate gigs, to go back to corporate world, and not one. They're like, oh my God, you've got a very illustrious, CV, et cetera, but you're overqualified, or we're not looking for someone, or we feel the. It was like, what is going on? And it was like mummy saying, yeah, you're already doing the work I'm getting you to do. So this is the path that you're supposed to be on. So when you're constantly having that shit, you have to stop and go, okay, I got to trust this, because this is where I'm being led. This is the path. I got to trust this, because when you're doing the work, then all will fall into place. And I think it's really, really important that as we are, as energetically, everything is getting cranked up. So mummy's just giving that things are getting cranked up massively, with a lot of planetary shifts happening, but the divine are rebirthing the universe. So we're like not even a teeny weeny speck in the scheme of things. So it's being rebirthed completely for a higher purpose that only the divine know. We don't know. We're just following. So we have to follow suit as well. So yeah, in that, destruction and chaos will happen. And the destruction is happening with Mother Earth, with, floods and climate changes and heat waves and so forth, volcanic eruptions and so forth, because everything, even with volcanic eruptions, that's timeline shifting. If Platonic shifts, that's timeline shifting. We may see it as, oh my God, it's an earthquake. But again, if you can imagine, how do I explain this, mummy? So if you have planet Earth, okay, we're seeing it as planet Earth, but around it, as you want to call it, the aura, if you want to look at it from or as an aura, just give an analogy here, is the aura. So the aura is actually getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's getting more crystalline. And with that, there are divine codes being embedded as well. So the divine are coding everything. So then the organic earth, physical, grass, it all has to calibrate with that. So as it's shifting, it's having the effect on human beings as well, just as the moon has the effects on you as well in the full moon. But this is happening on a, can't even say global scales, because it's beyond global. It's happening. So, it's a bit like trying to, a size 7 feet trying to fit into a size 6, size 5 shoes. It's like,
well,
yeah, doesn't.
Like, I mean, as you're speaking, I'm thinking, gee whiz, you're really covering a lot of 6D stuff here about blueprints, and maybe I'll chat about that next episode, just so if people kind of want that, this really does feel like what you're saying is that our Ds are shifting, like 5D is becoming more 6D almost. So I'm like, yeah, because that's more about blueprints and DNA and soul contracts and those kind of things. And I think that would be helpful for people to understand, because it's almost like there's, that transition, like where as you evolve, you start to come close to that. And it sounds like the earth itself is starting to do it. And
so, I guess the transition is happening. So what we so the information that's coming through now is about being prepared. It's all about being preparedness, and it's about listening and seeking out the right guidances from people to make sure the practices or disciplines that you undertake resonates fully, not because someone else is doing it or someone else says it's good for you or whatever the case may be.
That's right.
It's about listening.
Yeah, your path and your life is your own, and not to compare it with someone else's because it works for someone else doesn't necessarily means it works for you. And to, whatever, it's 100% that, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And that,
because if you do that, you're not going to delay your so there's no delays.
Yeah.
Because again, it's to make sure that there is no harm coming to you in terms of mental health, emotional health. So, my programs that I run in my coaching healing programs, 3 key factors: the health of your body, the health of your mind or emotions, and a clear goal of what you want to achieve. So it's about getting those 3 things aligned. And so when I'm working with clients, when I'm working with people, it's about your dudes telling me, this is where they're meant to be. This is who is meant to be in their life. This is what they're meant to be doing. This is the state of being they're in. So effectively, you're like a computer and I'm just defragging everything and then putting the original specs back together again.
Personalizing it.
Yeah. But I mean, everything experience you still remember as, oh, that was an experience, but I'm not taking it further with me.
Yeah, got it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I love that we've had an opportunity to discuss all that, all the D's, and I'll look forward to sharing a little bit more on that, because it kind of feels to me like the next stop is 6D, and talking a bit more about that and that small percentage we have over that control a bit more. Thanks so much for joining me, and
it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.